Do you ever feel like something is off at home? Like you are having problems with your relationships, you're grumpy with your family, you're arguing with your spouse and your kids, and you just can't settle down, you can't relax? Because that is exactly how I was feeling during a really, really hard time in my life. My house felt messy. I didn't know what to do. I honestly thought one of the biggest things was tackling my kids' stuff. And I did actually go through a really big period of time where well, not big period of time, certain weeks where I went through the kids' stuff. I remember one summer I threw Degrassi Junior High on my TV. In fact, maybe I'm going to watch that right now because it's a very like summer show to watch. But anyway, I threw that on the TV and just went through so much of their stuff. And I mean, I don't know if they cared because they had so much stuff. We had so much stuff. Our house had so much stuff. My husband had a ton of clothes. And I thought, I know, let's go through his clothes. And I would go through his clothes. I would look in my own closet and I would find a couple of things and I'd think, okay, yeah, I don't think I'll ever wear this again. And I'd get rid of a couple things. Or like I would go into the junk drawer and I would find, a knick-knack here and there. I'd be like, oh, I think this battery is dead. So I'd get rid of that. And I still was really struggling. Like I could not settle down. I would actually be stuck on the couch all day on the weekend because I just was overwhelmed. I did not know what to do. I would argue with my husband. I'd be grumpy with the kids. I'd be like, why aren't you picking up your stuff? Why don't you do more chores? And just like really, really like almost like just unhappy. And honestly, my house just felt so messy and I did not know what to do. The mess was actually something that was really bothering me. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to get some shelves built and I'm going to get some storage furniture. That's what we need. We need a good old trip to IKEA. So we went to IKEA and we bought some shelves and we bought some storage. And I truly do believe that there are times when shelves and storage are helpful because in our pantry, we have a shelf where the stuff was on the floor and this was stuff we were keeping. So it is helpful to have some storage. So I thought, great, like storage is the answer. It was actually so messy. It actually felt like, when you wake up and your hair is just like all over the place and crazy, that's how it felt. It was just so unkempt. It was getting like straggly and gross. But what's interesting is then I come out and I look at my garden. Now, look at the state of this garden. This is actually it looking better because it was so overgrown before. So we moved to this house and we inherited this front garden, which had a lot of plants in it that were strewn up the side of this house. The previous owner had actually tacked some deer netting to keep the deer out and to keep the plants up. And I didn't like that look. So I took some of them out. Like, look at this. Not looking good. Not looking good. So what I did was I just kept thinking more and more and more stuff was the solution. I needed to add more. I just didn't have enough. I didn't have enough stuff. And I didn't have enough stuff in the front, and I didn't have enough stuff in the house. I needed more storage, more totes, more bins, more stuff was the answer. I was trying to desperately solve this problem, and I struggled so hard. And it's so funny because I, about 5 years ago, read an article, and I remember it was right around Christmas, and it said that women are affected by clutter much more than men are. And I remember being like, well, that's interesting. And it said that we can't relax. And I thought, well, that's interesting because I feel like I can't relax. I sit down, but I just feel antsy and I don't know why. I wonder if it has anything to do with the clutter. And it said that by decluttering, we actually can get more freedom in life and we can have more time and space for enjoyment, and we can actually feel like things are done and we can relax. So that felt really good. So what I just recently figured out in this very front bed, because I just kept thinking I needed to add more and more and more. And now what I have done is I've removed it because the problem was in my front garden here, it was getting overgrown. all of these plants here, and I'll show you some of the ones that I've removed. Some of these plants, well, first of all, these are covered with aphids. I couldn't tackle the aphid problem. All of these plants, these are not staying in here. They're just here for now. But these plants, they were in there. They were overgrown. I could not care for them because there was too much stuff. Adding more was not the solution. Removing stuff was the solution. Life, we want it to be simpler. I want my life to be simpler. I assume you want your life to be simpler. And the way to get a simpler life is to remove things. So I started taking out the extra plants. And now I have simple boxwoods in there now, where I'm going to actually take out the rest of these plants. And I will save a few, but some of them I'm not saving. And it's just going to be nice, simple boxwood. And I actually just have installed this drip irrigation. A lot of times people say to me, I don't have time to declutter. My life is so busy. And I'm like, if we put a little bit of time in here and there, because I'm not done setting up my drip irrigation. I spent a little bit of time yesterday and I'll spend a little bit more today. Like there's some of the stuff, because if I set myself up for a simpler life, life is better. And when I come to removing these plants, I think to myself, oh, I need to find people to take these plants because I spent money on these plants. And oh, I need to find a spot to transplant them. Sure, I'll transplant a few of them in a couple of flower pots and stuff that we're putting out, which will have automatic irrigation because I want to simplify my life. Like I am at this point when I want life simplified. So some of those plants, they may not find a home. And it's like when we're decluttering our house. When I was decluttering my house, and I've decluttered over 80% of my house, I don't need to be responsible to find a home for all of that stuff. I can decide what goes. I can decide the appropriate place where it goes, and then whoever gets to decide. So some of these plants, I might just throw them in the forest because we live in a forest. That's not wasteful because the nature can then take care of it. It can use those nutrients. Animals can eat them. They can decompose and those nutrients can go in the ground. Yes, there was money spent. And this is something so often people stress about, is the sunk cost fallacy, where we spend money on something and we think, well, then I've got to keep it. And I get that. I truly was taking out these plants. Like last year, I spent like hundreds of dollars, like still trying to fix this bed, not learning my own lessons that I'm slowly learning in this amazing life, is that the less we have to take care of, the better. Now, I am going to have such a nice simplified walkway, and it's going to look so much nicer because it's going to be more minimal. Why am I so slow to learn these things? Are you like that too? In my house, once I started like being like, oh, I know, I'm just going to like start decluttering everything. That felt so good. So I feels good like this. I'm going to put this one in a pot in the back. But you know what? Like I got a big grass here. And of course, like be careful not to put invasive things places, but that can go in the forest. And it feels good because when we remove things, we create space for more. If I'm not stressed about this front garden, then I'm not going to be wasting my time trying to fix it and stressing about it. And my husband won't come in and say, that looks horrible. What are we going to do about it? You know, like it's done. I love it. Like there's so much freedom in removing things. And it's so funny because I went for dinner with some friends last night and we were talking about like not, like just like removing certain people from our lives, right? If we have people in our lives who don't need to be there and they are adding problems instead of solutions, we can remove them, right? And in my house, all of that clutter, it was causing so many barriers to my happiness. And is clutter causing barriers to your happiness? Does clutter stress you out? Does it make you feel down and overwhelmed when you want to do anything, when you want to cook a meal? Are you just like, oh my gosh, like I've got to clean off the kitchen counters and you know what? Look, let's just get takeout instead. Is clutter wasting all of your money? I just love the idea of simplifying the design of our home, the design of our life, the design of our commitment, and just having more space to live, more space to just be in nature, to be with the people we love. It just feels so good. So I was so unhappy before, but I just feel so happy now. This just in and of itself is just such a great feeling. Not only does clutter cost us in clutter, extra stuff, extra commitments, all of that, it costs us our time, our happiness, our peace. Like we really are only here for a little while. Why not remove some of it? And it's costing your money. Did you know that clutter costs? It's actually taking up footprint in your house. Check out this video here. I go over all of clutter's crazy costs. Now stay tidy and mighty. I hope something great happens for you today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.